to always have a drive for something, that's a positive thing if you ask me. But yeah, obviously it can become toxic. But
straight away, it's just a really great message to send out there. And the reason I do like PewDiePie is because he has, where is it, 110 million subscribers. Simon the Board A-hole here. Thank you for joining me as always. And PewDiePie, the leader of YouTube and the master of all, has been talking about lifting weights. He's been talking about the gym, and he's been talking about steroids. This was kind of hilarious because I knew the exact moment this video had gone up because my DMs absolutely exploded. So I give a salute to all of you lovely people. You make me feel warm in my heart. PewDiePie also remains the master of a YouTube title because he even called it I've Considered Steroids, which of course just tied into the video that he was watching. But he did actually have some fascinating views on the subject that I wanted to talk about today. Now, I can't include a lot of the footage that he used of the program that he was watching. I can't remember what it's called now, but they basically had a bunch of people that enjoyed lifting weight, and they asked them questions like, would you take steroids? Do you take steroids? Or do you think steroids are harmful? And you have a bunch of things on the floor that says strongly disagree, don't care, agree, strongly agree, and all of that kind of stuff. And then they moved into position and they started talking. Now, the YouTube copyright monster is such a beast right now. I know if I include any of that, all of a sudden, poof, this video is going to vanish. But in terms of what PewDiePie said, I absolutely want to discuss it, and we can still take stills of the program he was watching, answer the question ourselves.
You'll never be satisfied. This is something you hear a lot with the bodybuilders, of like they always want more and more gains. Yeah, everyone's saying like this is a bad thing. Imagine if you were just perfectly content with everything, how boring life would be. Am I the only one who thinks this? To always have a drive for something, that's a positive thing if you ask me. But yeah, obviously it can become toxic. But
straight away, it's just a really great message to send out there. And the reason I do like PewDiePie is because he has, where is it, 110 million subscribers. And this video has done 1.4 million views. Like, that's a lot of people that he is talking to. So it is true, but I think we talked about this 1,000 times on the channel. When you get into bodybuilding, well, the first time you pick up a weight and enjoy it, that's the end of any kind of happiness you're going to have when it comes to the gym, because you are always going to get wanting more. But this ties into the bigger mental health conversation. It's about ensuring that you balance all this out, right? So having that drive in order to go back to the gym, always wanting to look better again, so you have the motivation to return, is massively important. But it can tip over to the other side where we start beating ourselves up and looking at ourselves in the mirror and just filling ourselves full of negativity. And to hear someone like PewDiePie saying that, who again, we talked about it on the channel, it must have been around a year ago, maybe a year and a half, when he started lifting weights. So he's had 18 months of doing all of this, and I really do think when it comes to this stuff, he has a really good head screwed onto his shoulders. And again, getting that message out there to people so they do hear it, and if they have tumbled over to the other side, go, oh man, yeah, PewDiePie, I love him, he's right, and they can come back to the good end, well, that's just brilliant.
You should not be proud to be fat.
ooh, no. Why would you be? Hey, look, Mom, I got diabetes. Yeah, son, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Well, heart disease early, or shorter lifespan, less accessibility, less freedom, all these other related diseases.
That's an interesting one too. The question was, hopefully I can include that bit, saying you should not be proud to be fat. And this always sparks a massive conversation, right? Because should you be happy within your own body? Of course you should be. You shouldn't wish or hope for sadness on anyone, whether they weigh 10 stone or whether they weigh 30 stone. However, if somebody weighs 30 stone and they are morbidly obese, then they are putting their life at risk, right? And it's not for me to go up to that person and say you're doing it wrong. But if you're a friend or a family member and you're worried about them, of course you do, because you care about their well-being. So I think it's for me personally, it's a loaded question, right? Because, and man, this is just going to kick off. This is how I think. I don't think anybody who is that properly fat and probably struggling with it is actually proud of it. I think they convince themselves they're proud of it because they're really struggling to lose the weight. So it's a coping mechanism. And usually when we're falling into things, we have to use a coping mechanism. It's because it isn't actually helping us at all. And again, we're not striving to sort it out. So instead, mentally, we kind of do these sort of gymnastics. But you don't want to be in that kind of a shape, is the truth. Because eventually, even though it may be fine when you're in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, when you get over 40 plus, of course, it's going to become detrimental. I mean, PewDiePie made a joke about diabetes. Absolutely something that can happen. You can get heart disease. Your cholesterol is going to be over the place. Even when it comes to basic life stuff, you're not going to be able to walk around. You're not going to be comfortable because you're going to be getting out of breath all the time because, again, you're carrying such a huge load around. And it's a load that is too much for your physique, right? For your genetically processed physique. So again, if somebody told me they were proud of being fat, again, I think there'd be more to it, which is why I think it's actually a question that doesn't hold the right, ironically, doesn't carry with it the right weight. I didn't mean to say it like that. So, but once more, I think the fact that he goes at it with such, there's no sitting on the fence with him. He just tells it like it is. And once again, I think it's an important message.
Steroids is one of those topics I feel like I don't know enough about, so I don't want to, make leaps of judgment. I know there are side effects, and obviously if you take it in a moderate amount, I think it's a different thing. And personally, I'm against it. I think it's not necessarily, they're bodybuilders. So I think they're put in a different category than me or anyone probably watching this video. Their job is to sort of thrive as much as possible. So I can't really judge bodybuilders for taking steroids at all, to be fair. But I do think, like the buff guy was like saying, oh, what if fat people influence or the kids to be fat too? Like, bodybuilders are kind of doing the same thing. People like to pretend that they're not on steroids when they really are. So they're boasting this sort of unattainable or very difficult, at the very least, level of muscularity to people that maybe don't know enough about it. They look at themselves, they compare, and, you feel shit about it. Boo-hoo, I guess you could say to that. But, I've heard all my upbringing, about how females have an unattainable standard in their weight. Girls are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and it's getting really unhealthy. And, they even Photoshop images to the point that it's unhealthy. Well, we kind of have the same thing. Where, I mean, obviously both boys and girls can work out, but in general, you see really buff dudes. They are on steroids. A lot of people don't know that they're on steroids. Kind of the same thing, really.
And that's the most important part. I think I may leave the whole thing in. It's going to be a bit long. You'll be like, Simon, why have you just stolen this from PewDiePie's video? But while I have nowhere near the platform or views that he does, I mean, it's not even in the same stratosphere. That is exactly the kind of thing that I like to think we've talked about on here before, and how people of his note should be speaking. He even admits he's not that educated about it. He's not that intelligent about it in terms of his own experiences. But even he can see, when you just take a step back and look at the facts, this is what's going on all the time, right? Especially when it comes to fitness YouTube, which is what we focus on. I'm sure you have a ton of guys and girls that you watch. Some of them will tell you they are on gear. Some of them will tell you they're not on gear. And it will probably confuse you if you just started getting into lifting weights and going to the fitness palace of love, and you're trying to figure out how you try and achieve the same kind of goals. I mean, you take someone like, I don't want to name anybody, it's not fair, but you take someone that is out there saying, hey man, look how big my bicep is. I did this because I took a bunch of steroids. Okay, I get it, I understand. And I can now sort of rein in my expectations a little. But if there's somebody else out there, and we know who they are, there's a ton of them who aren't telling you this, then you're not going to know what to do. And you may start going down this bad path of doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or, well, it's not even about that, but it's about the negative influence that it creates around you, because you'll start looking at this person, and even before you get to genetics, because it's not really about that in this instance, and you'll be like, well, they look like that, why can't I look like that? There must be something wrong with me. And you'll try, and you'll spend a bunch of money on it, you'll try a bunch of supplements that don't work, and eventually maybe you will bump into someone who offers you them, and you'll be so desperate that you'll go down that path. Whereas if you had known straight away, once again, you can say, okay, I need to make a decision here. Totally agree with PewDiePie, and what he said is totally your choice. I think you should always educate yourself, and you should always read up, and you should understand the dangers, and you should understand the pros and the cons, and that way you can make a reasonable assumption about what you would like to do. But if you don't even know that beforehand, you're already going to have crushed your mental health, right? And that's not what the gym is about. The gym, health and fitness, again, blah, blah. What's the most important word there? Health, happiness, wanting to go, being it something that benefits your life. And don't get me wrong, I totally get bigorexia or wanting to be bigger. I'm certainly not happy with my physique, and sometimes I get very nice comments about that, saying, no, Simon, you shouldn't do it. But I don't beat myself up about it. I mean, some days I do. Of course I do, in the same way that I'm sure some days we beat ourselves up about our job or our financial situation or the relationships that we're in. We have good days and bad days because we are just human beings. But you have to have that self-awareness, and you have to be able to have that big chat with yourself when you do. This is just your lot, man. And we're just going to the gym day after day, week after week, year after year in order to better ourselves. We're only in competition with ourselves, especially if the rules aren't the same for two different people. So let's take me and let's take Mr. Steroids, because again, I don't want to name anybody. Of course, Mr. Steroids is going to make exceptionally better gains, and of course he's going to be bigger. I mean, not always, because some people can take steroids and they just don't know what they're doing and it doesn't work. But we're talking about stereotypes here, or at least we're talking about what usually does happen. But I've chosen not to take them. Internet disagrees. Massive compliment. They have decided to take them, and you can understand that because you know there's something else going on. But when you don't know, it can be an absolute mind flub. And I understand that. I've been there. I remember when I was reading about all this stuff when I was a kid, and it just seemed all so crazy to me. And does it feel any less crazy here we are 10 years on or so? No. In fact, it probably seems even more crazy, but the best thing about it is that this conversation is happening a lot more because of the internet, because of YouTube, because of social media, and because of people like PewDiePie. And I know he's got some controversial moments in his past. We've talked about that again too. But in terms of this subject, I think it's very wonderful what he's done.
And I'm sure if you take a responsibility, you know, it's probably not as bad as being morbidly obese, but there's always, you know, same as there's being morbidly obese is really bad for you, there's always going to be the end of people misusing steroids. Likewise, as someone who has addiction brain, you know, I can see myself kind of taking those kind of stuff too far. And it's not so easy for everyone to be responsible.
That's a really important part too. Like, you can get addicted to this stuff, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's an addictive chemical, but it has addictive qualities, right, that get into your brain. So many people go on steroids or whatever it may be, SARMs, etc., and they look absolutely amazing. And then when they come off, they're going to lose that edge. And then that's it. They drive themselves absolutely crazy. So again, you have to be prepared and make sure that you're mentally up to going through and screwing up your endocrine system, which is also going to happen. Because don't forget, even if you introduce testosterone into whatever the hell you're doing, that means your estrogen is going to raise. Then you need to make sure you're controlling that. And you may not have a problem with it, but you may do. You may have a problem with your prolactin. You just don't know. And this is the kind of stuff that you absolutely need to research. I'm going to keep banging this like an annoying drum. But so many people just throw themselves in. They think, take steroids, look like bodybuilder. It's not true. Because as soon as you offset one thing, you then have to offset another thing. And then you have to offset another thing. And then you have to offset another thing. And before you know it, you're in the corner just crying. Because once again, your hormones are all over the place.
But if I'm not, I generally don't care because I'm working out because I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It's a great routine that I enjoy. And it removes that anxiety for me of feeling like, oh, I'm not that enough. It's like, no, well, I'm working my way towards it. All right, what else can I do? I don't get it. I guess maybe then while I'm this stage, you know, you can ask me, hey, are you strong enough? Well, we'll see. I just know what I want out of it.
That's the other best thing he says in there. He's working out because he feels good, because he enjoys it, and it's something that he wants to do. Never, ever forget that. I'm seriously, right? I'm like your dad now, but never, ever forget that. That's why you started going to the gym, and that's why you should keep going to the gym. And if you do get off the rails with it, just try and check yourself a little bit or chat to someone so you can rein it back in. But that is the most important thing. It's the most important thing about anything in life. Other than work, you know, some of us are lucky to, I can't remember that thing now, but some of us have jobs that we really enjoy, so it doesn't feel like work. Others aren't as lucky, and they have to do jobs, obviously, to make money and stuff. But outside of that, wherever you can do things that you voluntarily want to do and it brings joy into your life, this is what you should do. And again, it's why the whole fitness industry is sort of built around this idea that going to the gym isn't fun, and we can come up with something that's really easy and you can do in 15 to 10 minutes. Like, they actively try and make you feel that way, but it doesn't need to be that way, right? I'll say this on as many videos as I possibly can. There are 1,000 different ways in order to work out, in order to stay healthy, that you will love to do, to the point you'll wake up in the morning and it will be the most exciting thing you have on your calendar that day. Who doesn't want that?
It's something that everyone should do, not necessarily, you know, any form of exercise. If you're feeling down, I think that starting to exercise is the first step you could take. It also changes your mind and how you perceive things, because you're starting to build yourself and improving yourself, and that, I think that changes how you think in many positive ways.
That's the last comment I'll throw in there, because it doesn't get any better than that. It's so true. I totally agree with that. I think everybody should be doing some form of exercise. It's just kind of built into us somewhere deep down that we want to do this. Maybe it's when we were all cavemen and we were chasing down lions. Not a thing that ever happened, but I've said it now and I can't undo it. But hey, we move on. And again, because it does release endorphins, it will start making you better. Now, it's not the answer. It's not a be-all and end-all. You don't start working out and all of a sudden all your other problems go away. And if you start doing that, I think you're going to get your dream physique. One, you don't get your dream physique. And two, you're still going to have the other problems. They don't magically go away. But in terms of something that you can add into your lifestyle in order to help yourself, 100%. It is a wonderful thing to do. It is basically the backbone and the foundation of my entire life. I don't know how I'd be able to do anything without it. And maybe I'm lucky that way, in the sense the first time I went to the gym, I just gravitated towards it. But I already know that I would have found something else to do. You know, again, there's thousands of things, as we've already mentioned. And it is just an important thing to add into your life, especially if you do go through periods of depression. Again, it's not going to cure your depression. It's not going to cure your anxiety. You're not going to become another person after doing one session. But slowly but surely, it just adds little things to your arsenal that help you cope with it a little bit better. And you should still be chatting to people, and you should go on medication should you so have to, and if you think that's the right thing for you personally. But again, there is no one-stop shop for anything like that, but it's something else that you can throw in there, and I bet sooner or later you go, oh, you know what, I'm glad that I did. So we're going to go through the questions, because I just want to do it. The first one is, there is such a thing as being too jacked, and we've got, what are the things am I going to be able to see? We've got, I think, strongly disagree, somewhat agree, agree, strongly agree. I mean, I would go and strongly disagree. I don't think you can be too jacked. I think you can send yourself crazy trying to be too jacked. But in terms of have I ever looked at a man and gone, apart from people that take synthol, not them, but have I ever looked at a man or a person or a woman or ever gone, no, they're too jacked? No, I haven't. All bodybuilders have small penises. I don't even want to answer that one. I mean, of course, strongly disagree. For starters, it's your testicles that shrink because they just don't have to make their own testosterone anymore. For what is no? It's just dumb. I build my body to get guys or girls. No, literally never. I know some people do. I know it's quite a popular thing to do. Not ever did I. I went to the gym because I was sick of being bullied, and I thought if I could build myself up, it would give myself more confidence. And because I watched a lot of wrestling, I thought they all looked like superheroes, and I was into superheroes, you know, Marvel and DC. But no, I never did it ever to try and attract the opposite sex. Wasn't my thing. I look down on people who are out of shape. Absolutely not. I think that's one of the huge problems with the gym. So strongly disagree. I mean, so many people are intimidated to go to the gym or start the gym because they think that's what's going to happen. And as always, if someone is looking down on you because of your shape, they are a piece of trash. This is the whole people should be proud to be fat. I think we kind of start, you know, it's not a question you can answer with one of these things. We talked about it. I have considered steroids. I think most people that go to the gym have considered doing steroids. But this goes back to what I was talking earlier. Consider it. Read up about it, educate yourself, and then decide whether you want to do it. And also make sure you're buying from a reputable source. There's a bunch of crap out of there. Now, no, I've never done them. Waste of time me saying, yes, you have, Simon, yes, you have. Again, I take it as a massive compliment. But of course I've thought about it. I wanted to be a big, jacked up guy. It's like, imagine you were, I don't know, an actor. And someone said, if you take this pill, you become the best actor ever. But also it comes with a bunch of side effects. You would go, maybe I should take it. It just stands to reason. If you want someone, and someone tells you this thing can help you, you're a human being. Of course you're going to think about it. Exercise is good for my mental health. Yes, I can have the worst day ever, and I can have all these problems in my brain, and I go to the gym, and for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it may be, they all go away, and I just focus on that. Best thing in the world. My body is the most important thing to me. No, but nothing should be the most important thing to you. So strongly disagree. I mean, your body should be important, your finances should be important, your love life should be important, your job should be important. I mean, we could do this for days, right? You're never going to get your happiness from one thing. And that includes a relationship, right? You should never be trying to get your happiness from one person. It's unfair to them and it's going to be no good for you. So you should have a bunch of things that you're doing in order to achieve, the things that are important to you. Because what if you get injured? Then what are you going to do? What if someone tells you can never do it again, right? Have to be layered. Got to have depth. That's the end of the video. Really enjoyed watching that. I would suggest you go watch the whole thing because he gets into the nitty gritty. I don't know, some people don't like PewDiePie, don't watch it. Some people do like PewDiePie, and hopefully they'll see that, and hopefully they will try and adapt their own approach to physical fitness. And that to me is a very important thing. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Get the bell ding ding so you know when other videos are going live. There is another video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Teamed up with Gorilla Mind. Click the link in the description below, gorillamind.com/Simon, and use the code Simon for 10% off. The Black Friday sale things are coming. It's ridiculous. If you wanted it to be cheaper, it's about to be a hell of a lot cheaper. Also, Greg Doucette's Power 13 cookbook if you want sustainable diets. Again, link in the description. Use code Simon15 for 15% off. Patreon.com/Simon316 on Twitter and Instagram at Simon316. This was sent to me by lovely people over my DMs. They're open. You can do the same. I'm also on Cameo. Simon.bigcartel.com for merchandise. Otherwise, you take care of yourself. Kick ass in the gym, but make sure you also kick ass on your own brain to be happy. Don't know what that means. See you soon.